And today is our conclusion for money and more. And uh, what we're going to do, I'm a little distracted by the technology here. What we're going to do is we're going to review the 4 pillars, money and abundance, and I'm going to answer any questions you have. And so if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And I really hope you've enjoyed this series, and I've enjoyed bringing it to you. So on day 1, we talked about rethinking the mental blocks to abundance. And we talked about the untruths that we entertain, things that we've been taught, things that we believe are true, and what would you rather entertain instead? So my question to you was that day was, what truths would you rather entertain? So day 2, we talked about the pillar of releasing emotional blocks to abundance. And emotions can be very heavy. They can be heavy. We might have an intense response to an event that stays with us for a long time. So I talked about releasing stuck emotions through the emotion code, and how it's sometimes really easy not to want to address them because they're emotions that you kind of pushed away for a reason. But as you begin to free them up, if you become willing to free them up and to see them, then you can gain some access to greater abundance and more money. So some of those emotions might be shame or guilt, a sense of not deserving. I see that in a lot of women, and it just breaks my heart. And I too continue to work through that because we have so many messages in our culture and in our media that women are not as worthy as men, and that what we contribute is not worth paying for. The third day, we talked about removing physical blocks to abundance. And I talked about the body as the subconscious, where it stores all of your experiences, all of your traumas, all of your happy experiences. And that getting into the subconscious is where we actually have access to freeing up thoughts and feelings and stored emotions and stored trauma through the body. So one way to do that is to do guided imagery or create your own imagery of what you desire to receive, opening up to more reception, calming down the emotions that we might have about, I don't want to receive because I don't have control over that. So if we've been hurt in the past, we might want to have a lot more control, and so receiving is more difficult. And then the fourth pillar is energetic or spiritual, whichever you prefer to call it. And that was about resolving blocks, energetic or spiritual blocks to abundance. Do you feel like you can't be spiritual and have money? Do you feel like it's not right for you to have money because it would mean somebody else might not have it? So what I asked you to do was to think about what you would do if you could not fail, who you would be, who you would become. And one of the things that I've become more aware of since I did that pillar was the power of forgiveness. And forgiveness for another person, even though they hurt you, you don't have to forget it, but forgiving them actually frees you up to be more open to more abundance and money. And also just as important is the aspect of self-forgiveness. So I was in a money conversation yesterday with a group of people I'm in a coaching program with, and we all made a list of what we wanted to forgive ourselves for: money mistakes, indebtedness, not making money in the business, um, things like that. Shame around money, shame around receiving money. And it was really powerful because as we went through that, I could feel the energy starting to lift. And we apply, I don't know if you know the Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian resolution prayer. And I'll put it, excuse me, I'll put a link in the chat for you to look it up if you're interested. But basically, they're actually a lot of steps, but this step is the one I know. And it's to say, bring to mind a person that you want to forgive or a part of yourself you want to forgive. And you say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. When I was first introduced to that, I really did not want to say I'm sorry. I really did not. But as I started doing it, I could feel these limitations just start to melt within myself. And I've used it on and off for a long time now. And I find that it really does help resolve something in me and something with another person. And I did that just recently with a family financial issue. And I went into it thinking, this is going to be really challenging. And it turned out to be really not challenging at all. It was resolved very beautifully. So there's another tool for you if you like doing your do-it-yourself tools. Okay, so let's answer some questions. And the first question to answer is, how do I see my blocks to money and abundance? How do I actually see them? And I think that it's definitely possible to do it on your own. It's possible to do it through meditation or guided imagery. It's possible to do it through journaling. I love to do dialogue journaling where I'll say, Adele, like in a play, Adele, hey, how come I can't see my limitations? And then whoever or whatever I'm speaking to, it could be the spirit of money, it could be the spirit of abundance, it could be source, it could be the universe, it could be the quantum field, whatever you like to interact with. And it doesn't have to be one thing, but you have a conversation with one part of existence at a time. So then you write the answer. So whatever comes up, you can start to see that. And I have been meditating pretty regularly for about 8 months now, and it's really helped me through all of these challenging times. And I don't necessarily do no mind meditation, although I'm trying to get better at that. I'm not great at it. But I realized this morning that I just had this sense that I had been living a Cinderella life. The first part of Cinderella, not the princess part, but the drudgery part. Recently, I've started adding more ease to my life, not working so much. And as I backed off from working so much, I realized how doggedly I was trying to get stuff done so that I would be worthy. So I would be worthy. And I'm not to the finish line by any means. I still like to do a lot of things. I still like to, get my check mark for getting something done. But there is a difference in how I'm approaching life now. It's like it is more abundant. It is more abundant. There's more ease and there's more flow. So that's another way as you get quiet and you think about, what part am I playing? What part am I playing in my life? And it could be different parts and different aspects of your life, your family life, your marriage life, if you have a partner, your life as a mother, your life in your business, your life in your community, your life in your greater family. What part are you playing? So that's one way. Those are some ways to see some limiters that you may have. Another way, of course, is to be interacting with a coach, with a good friend who you trust, or in a coaching program. And I'm going to tell you about the one I'm offering in just a few minutes, just so you know that it's available if it's something that calls to you. But I do think we need other people to start to see our limits, because even in a conversation, a simple conversation, like a good friend was over last night for COVID safe dinner, and she and her husband are visiting from California. They're looking at property here in North Carolina and also in Oregon and Washington to see where they'd like to move next. And you know, the size house that they're looking for, the amount of money they have to spend because they've sold property in California, which is more expensive than here. It's like, oh, that's kind of liberating to think that one could afford that much of a house. Yeah, so I mean, even in simple conversations like that, you can start to see, oh, I have my limitations like here. I have my borders here, and maybe they could be here. So that's how to see some of your limitations. The next question is, how do you know that you're a success with abundance and money? How do you know you're a success? I was listening to a book called The Buddha and the Badass, and it's written by the owner of Mind Valley, which you may have bought programs from Mind Valley, and he interviewed billionaires and millionaires, and each one of them wanted something more. These were all men, and they had the $1 million in the bank, then they had the 100 million, and they had the Learjet, and then they wanted to have a bigger Learjet. It's like, how would they know when it was enough, that they actually were a success? So we can map that onto our life. So how do you know when you're a success with money and abundance? So I say that it can be very small steps. It can be very small steps of, hey, I just put money into savings this month. Yeah, I paid myself. That's a success. Or, I really love spending money on shopping, and I curtailed that this month. Didn't do so much. I'm very proud. That's a success. I think, of course, gratitude is huge in this. And these days, I think it can be very difficult to find things to be grateful for, and yet they're all around us. The sun still comes up. We're still breathing. Hopefully you have enough to eat and a place to live. And if you don't, I hope that you find ways to resource that for yourself. I truly do. And, if you have a loving relationship with yourself, with your spouse, with your children, with your family, with yourself, that's all very abundant. And as we know, gratitude and appreciation makes things grow. So that's one way to know that you're a success, that you are appreciating what you already have. And that will bring more to you. And the third question I want to answer is, how do I surf these waves of change? This is so difficult. If you have a child or children at home that are doing virtual classes, I know it's hard. If you're living alone and you haven't seen anyone for a long time, that's very difficult. If you're a travel bug and you can't go traveling, that's so frustrating. And there are all the concerns about all the changes going on in the United States and around the world. But, we're more familiar with what's happening here. So how do you surf those? I think we go back to the emotional aspect, is not being so attached to what's playing out. It's almost like not getting into the drama of the movie. not getting into the drama of the movie. And sometimes I know for myself, I don't know that I have permission not to get into the drama of the movie. I think, oh, I'm supposed to go there because I'm a caring person, and will the world spin without me? And I have to control the universe. Well, no, none of that's true. What's true is I am here, an eternal, infinite being having a human experience with lots of emotions, but I don't have to stay attached to the emotions. I can actually get up on the surfboard and balance and surf the waves. Surf the waves into shore. So when something comes up that's troubling you about your money or your abundance, like, maybe it's hard to pay the bills this month. What would it be like if you could get up above the density of feelings about that and actually surf into shore? Give yourself positive feedback, watch a fun movie, listen to good music, talk to a friend who's having an up day. If you're having a down day, talk to a friend who's having an up day, and you can rise to his or her level. So those are the questions that I wanted to answer for you today. And I also want to give you an invitation. So I do have a program coming up that starts this Wednesday, September 30th, 2020, and it's called Activate Your Abundance. And it's a small group program and there's already some wonderful women in the course. It's for women only. And we start on Wednesday with our theme for the month, which is fun. And because I'm not sure a lot of us are having a lot of fun right now or even think we can, but it's possible. And that actually buoys us up for more joy and more abundance and more resiliency in these tough times. And then 2 weeks after that, there'll be another call, and that will be group discussion, Q&A, and laser coaching. And then there are 2 more months, same format. The second month is about funds, FUNDS. We're going to talk about your money and how you're tracking your money and how you're paying yourself and becoming mindful about where your money is and where you want it to go and how you want it to grow. And then the third month is fulfillment. So we'll have a call on fulfillment, and then the second call will be Q&A. There will be worksheets. There is a private Facebook group just for the course, and the first 6 people who register, and I have room for 2 more. 4 are taken, but two are still available. As for an emotion code, a complimentary emotion code session with me, 30 minutes to locate and release any stuck energy. So I hope you'll join me. I'll put the registration link in the chat. And I'm just wishing you so much abundance and really satisfaction with yourself around your money and growing into someone who really feels abundant and feels happy with your money situation. Thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you. I'll talk to you next time.